It's the Friday Free Show of A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan, and it is brought to you by
Precision Door of Central Florida. Also, they're hiring right now.
Yes, sir.
If you are looking for a job.
Saw them this morning. They're in my neighborhood. They were actually at my home last week. I had some Wi-Fi conductivity problems. They zipped over, fixed it perfectly, made sure my door got the... they did a full inspection on my door. Now, I didn't call about the door. I called about the Wi-Fi. But, you know, their attention to detail is amazing. So they checked my door, got me back up and running, and they're still on the road providing service. So if you guys need something, or if you need that new door or new garage door opener, you can always get a hold of Precision Garage Door.
Yeah, 100%. Nowadays, if you're in your house a lot more, man, you wouldn't believe what a difference it makes having a super silent garage door that runs smoothly, that runs off Wi-Fi, even like leaving your house and then be like, did I leave the garage door open? I don't know about you.
It happens to Andrea in bed every night. She's like, did I put it down?
I stopped using my front door. I go in and out through my garage all the time.
Easier.
So when I leave the house, I often think, like, did I leave the door open? And then I can just check on my app. It's so much more convenient.
Yeah, I mean, they're still not charging any of the service fees. They'll run emergency service out there to you if you need that. But like I said, I had a problem where mine was broken. I couldn't even get in my door. Yeah. They came out. The lady fixed it, the tech. She fixed it perfectly, and I was back up and running in less than an hour. Yeah.
Tell them you're a Tom and Dan listener at BDM. You can get percentage off your brand new door if you need a new door.
And you also have a number that only you can call, right?
Yeah.
407-710-BDMS. That's 407-710-2367.
Yeah, when you call that number, they'll know that it's coming from us, so it's how we get credit. But if you have a garage door problem, you need a new door, you want that silent package like me, Daniel got, our buddy Tony Rage has, awesome. Seth Petrozelli has. Awesome. I know Samantha's looking into it. It's Precision Door of Central Florida, 407-710-BDMS. Welcome to A Gentleman's Guide. Tom Van.
Dan Dennis.
Steve Kramer.
Steve Kramer, you look like a supervillain.
Ah,
it looks cool, dude. Describe Steven to the audience, Tom.
He's got a black turtleneck on.
And he's sitting in his, I guess, his lair.
His study.
Is that your lair?
Is that a pool table? Is that a pool table with a ping pong topper on?
Room. This is my billiard room.
Do you have a ping pong table topper on your billiard?
He's not a...
I do.
Yeah.
No, that's the cheapo one.
No.
The real one is when you have separate ping pong, separate billiards.
If you I want 500 square feet more of space that I had to take up with that.
I understand that, but that's the price you pay to be legit.
How good are you at ping pong, Kramer?
I'm all right. I can hold my own. I'm not great. I'm not Forrest Gump.
Tom went through this phase where he thought he was
the out of practice,
single greatest ping pong player of all time. And I'll tell this story real quick, Stephen. You'll love this. So Tom thought he was the single greatest ping pong player of all time, in which he started collecting multiple paddles, multiple tables. He had a table in the garage. He had a table in his living room. He had a ping pong ball practice opponent robot that would throw ping pong balls at him, and then he'd slice them back at the robot, and he was training.
Yeah, whatever happened to that robot?
And then he came up with this idea. He went in front of multiple radio station managers. He's, I got this idea. I want to do a ping pong tournament. And he started doing these ping pong table tournaments at different sponsors, and Guinness started sponsoring it, and it just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then he cream pied his wife. And she made him take the entire ping pong table, and he had to throw one away, or went in some truck some guy got rained on, and then you had to take another and put it in your garage. Eventually you just had some crackies come and steal it. All of your paddles are strewn across the landscape of your garage. I don't even know where your ping pong robot is.
Yeah.
What happened, Tom? Tell Steven.
Daniel basically accurately described it.
You cream pied your wife, and then the baby was coming, and your wife's like, get this shit out of here.
A cream pie, although feels good, will ruin your life.
That's a turn.
Also ruin your ping pong career.
Unless you're cream pieing on the ping pong table, which I feel like is the safest way to do it. You know?
I think...
couple of bounties and you're back in business.
And that's why you get a topper for your pool table, so that you can have both. And both are great. I love them both. So.
You're right. I'm just saying that if I had my druthers, if somebody came to me and said, do you want the pool table with the ping pong topper? My original thought of that is that's a little trashy. That's a little Zayers. That's a little,
I mean, I'd rather have both separate too, because then it's easier when you want to play pool or ping pong. You don't have to get out the thing. But now let me throw a curveball in here.
Sure.
What if it's a choice between you get two of the three, right? You can have a ping pong table, a pool table, or an air hockey table.
Oh, see, you had to go hard one there. Air hockey, I feel like, is something you only enjoy when you can beat your wife for a blowjob.
Well, any game is only enjoyable to me if there's some sort of blowjob at stake.
Any game.
Or anything at stake. I can't play anything.
That's why I can't go to.
When you play pickup basketball, that's the rule.
Yeah, I can't even go to church carnivals with this guy. I throw the clothespin over the cardboard refrigerator box, hopefully getting a lollipop. And Tom's like, "If it's not a blowjob, I don't want to."
Here's the problem with air hockey. Although it is fun at like a arcade setting, or when you're at Chuck E. Cheese with your kids or whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
It's seemingly impossible to get good at. I've never really met anybody that had any sort of strategy or skill.
I'm pretty good.
You wave.
I am at ping pong.
You play defense by waving the whatever the handheld.
I don't even know what you call that. It's it looks like the man with the yellow hat's hat.
Yeah. You take the hat. You're waving it back and forth.
It's like a miniature sombrero at the restaurant where they put the tortilla chips in it.
Okay, yeah.
And it always seems
Salsable.
like I'm defending the puck from my own shot at all times. Like I'm hitting the thing when it's ricocheting off the walls, coming back towards me.
Well, that's the price you pay for going for being John Daly with the puck hitter, the sombrero.
So both of you are ping pong and pool and opt out of the air hockey.
No, I didn't say that. Hold on, don't
Kramer.
Don't lump me in with the agent provocateurs.
Would you play me in a ping pong tournament? $1,000.
Whoa!
Best out of 3 games,
and I'll give the blowjob.
Winner gets a blowjob from Daniel.
Okay, winner gets it
for charity.
No, I put the $1,000.
$100.
Hold on, to make this acceptable for everybody, because look, I know neither of you wants a blowjob from me. I know that. As much as you're gonna play act and we can do good prov, I know that when you look at me, you find me absolutely disgusting. I know that. But if I put $500, a stack of $500 on my top lip or top teeth, and a stack of $500 on my bottom teeth like a duck, and you just lay it in the money.
Yeah. Then technically,
I feel like maybe I came into something that's a little dangerous. You guys seem really sexualized today. What's going on?
We had sex right before the show, and it's
with the duck bill, $1,000.
I gave her the duck job. $1,000 duck job.
Yeah. We got inspired by the audio of Duck Job.
What happened to old Duck Job?
Which me and Daniel listen every morning. It's the T&D national anthem every morning.
I watched the first Marvel movie last week. Do you know what the first Marvel movie is?
Yeah, it's this right here. This is the first Marvel movie right here. I have it. I have audio from it.
I can't see you.
I think. Hold on. I'm going to play a bit of...
Oh, my God. It feels so good. Oh, yeah. Oh, slow down. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. Play with my balls. Play with my balls.
Oh, my dad thought that was the funniest fucking thing in the world. My dad was crying. My dad's crying. Blew his cowboy hat off. He's laying on the floor. He's like, I'm going to Dan Lee. I'm going to have a goddamn heart attack. Donald Duck's getting a blowjob.
Well, that's pretty close. It's this.
Oh, that Tom's never seen that.
What is that?
Howard the Duck.
Oh, I hate that stupid movie. It's stupid.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it. It is not a cult classic to me. It's stupid.
It's terrible.
I'm like, what is this? So that duck is terrifying.
I was like 10 years old.
Oh, Steven, you shouldn't be watching that at 10.
Doesn't that duck bang
There's duck titties in there.
a hot chick?
It's PG.
But there's duck titties, and also he bangs like Michael J. Fox's mom or something, right?
No, he doesn't. They don't actually do it.
But there's something
but the innuendo is very uncomfortable. Let me say that.
She rubs his duck back, and he gets a feather boner, and then
that's not how it works.
Huh?
I mean, you could get a feather boner.
Yeah. But it's something where...
But they have a corkscrew dick, right?
Yeah.
Ducks have, like...
Well, he's not a duck. He's evolved from ducks. Their planet, they evolved from ducks instead of from apes, so he's not a duck.
Planet of the Ducks would have been a better movie.
I mean, I guess he's a duck, but he's an evolved duck.
Yeah. Well,
you goddamn disgusting, dirty duck.
I thought it would be really, 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 really bad, but not as bad as I thought it would be. I can hang with it.
Howard the Duck?
Yeah.
It's off-putting. And
when was the last time you saw it, Tom?
I think it was on TV years ago, and back when I used to channel surf, and then I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, this thing, and then I watched it. I was like, doesn't hold up.
Thomas Dolby did the music. The song's pretty good.
It's
what's weird is the soundtrack is composed by John Barry. And I don't know if you know John Barry, but he does like these sweeping romantic melodies with these string arrangements that kind of rise. He did Dances with Wolves, which is a great freaking soundtrack. He did like a lot of the Bond movies, and it's really weird because Howard the Duck and John Barry just don't fit together for me. So that's kind of weird.
I don't know why this made me think of this, but kind of a Cowboys and Indian style movie.
Cowboys and Aliens?
No.
I thought
Last
that was
of the Mohican.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I love Last of the Mohicans.
That is a really, really good movie.
When he screams,
I think,
"I will find you," and then jumps off the waterfall, he'd never find her. It's impossible back in those days.
He's a tracker.
Yeah, but it's too big. There's too many. It's too
I
big.
agree with you, but let me say that those types of movies, those period piece movies, whether it's Legends of the Fall, Last of the Mohicans, The Postman, Dances with Wolves, those style movies are one of the only movie that I can go and watch that will still hold up because it's a period piece.
It's so good. Last of the Mohicans so good. Soundtrack's so good too. That's a great movie.
Well, just the acting in it's incredible.
But a great American novel too.
But those type of movies, like even a Forrest Gump, I can still go back and revisit. It's these newer movies that try to capture space or like technology. Those are the ones that always kind of blow it for me because
unless they can bring timelessness to it, like Alien did that.
Right.
The Ridley Scott Alien, the first one, it has that timeless element. And I love all the Alien movies, but the first one is much more timeless.
Speaking of aliens, Kramer, what do you think is going to be? Do you think, like, with all these, human space launches now?
You had to have watched that, right, Steve? Like you watched.
Of course, hell yeah.
That was one of the coolest things I've seen.
It was awesome.
Amazing.
Someone's going to start going to the moon because I started thinking about the argument being, even this with Mars, like I know some certain like physicists and people are like, well, what's the point of doing any of this? Like we know what's on Mars. There's no reason humans need to go there per se. Like I know there's an argument of like, maybe we could turn Mars into another Earth and live on there in case Earth ever expires.
Yeah, the reason we need to go is because we need to preserve humanity and we have to get off planet to do that in the long run. Well, I mean, at some point.
The counter argument I've heard Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about, like if we could somehow form Mars into a livable space, then we could just fix the damage to Earth. Like if we had the technology, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We would just fix Earth instead of trying to transform Mars into a livable space if we had the technology. Anyway,
but that doesn't that doesn't deal with cataclysmic events that are beyond our control. Like repairing environmental damage is different than a super volcano or asteroid or something that's beyond human control. Yeah. And that's not like I'm a doomsday person where that's going to happen now, but just, if your horizon's 100 or 1,000 years, it's a different analysis, right?
Yeah, you're right. But also, there's still the point of, like, if you could somehow transform Mars and create an atmosphere or some sort of way to live on there, then you can somehow stop a supervolcano or repair the damage to an asteroid. Regardless.
Yeah, maybe.
Here's my point. I just like it, and I think there's some marketing value to someone just going to the moon and creating like some sort of entertainment on the moon that people would watch. Like
they're doing that. I mean, that's going to be the next thing is space tourism, right? The two things coming down the line are space tourism and space militarization. We should get somebody from SpaceX on. I have some clients from that company, so
yeah, I'd be interested to talk to him. But
I would love
actually, that used to be my favorite thing was ship to shore. I had anytime I sent out packages to people at SpaceX, I loved it. Like having customers there, clients there.
Yeah, it's cool.
But even like,
cool
I understand the tourism aspect of it. People just paying to go there. That's one thing. But I'm talking about just the marketing ability of someone to go to the moon and create some sort of
billboard, a giant billboard that says, Wrangler.
You don't think it's just the show of someone going to the moon and doing like riding on a fucking moon buggy around or whatever it is. That's cool.
If they can follow around Lady Gaga for her new tour, then they can follow around the moon guys and give me a moon show.
I mean,
right?
for sure, you could do a moon concert one day or some sort of like you establish some sort of livable base up there just to do, and then have webcams or a camera that you like just like watching a reality show. Like
that's kind of what the launch was like when they kept bouncing back and forth, and then like when they would cut in and explain things, like that's kind of new, that they cut in, they go like, well, what you're seeing here, and I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so all that I like, and it just gives you something to root for, and it's cool, regardless of like the actuality of how this really does help the human race. It's a step that has to be taken, even if we can't see what this is going to lead to.
At the very least, it's inspirational. I mean, it's something that was with all the bad things happening in the world, that was like a moment of pause for something really cool and unifying and inspiring.
Yeah. And beyond that, too, like I always look at it in the practical sense is they're practicing. SpaceX is already back, ready to go for the next, to take up some satellites. Like they already got it back. It's ready to go. Like they're firing it up, to do its other missions. And I'm like, wow, reusable rocket. That is, I would watch a show about them just doing what they're doing right now. Like, show me how it got from Ireland to here. Show me that. Like, explain the design of it in like simple, not
so
super.
I'm surprised
simple.
You don't like science fiction more, Daniel. I mean, if you're into that,
I do. I really do like it. Like last night, I didn't want to do this, but certain manga that I haven't read, like I got into reading Attack on Titan.
Oh, I'm watching the best show I've seen in years. I mean, I love The Mandalorian. It's at least as good as The Mandalorian. The new Picard show is so good.
Okay, I'll check that out.
What is
that? It's amazing. I don't know if you ever watched like Star Trek or The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine or any of those shows, but Picard is phenomenal.
It's just a version of Star Trek.
Is it an action-based one, or is it more of like a roots and history and
story? It's perfect. I mean, it's perfect. It's so well done. It's fine. Like they've done so many shows, and they've never really put the budget into it that it needed to justify it to get to the ultimate product. And with this, it's clear that they spent money, and it's like cinematic. I mean, it's super high quality. They did it. I think the CBS did it to try to lure people to their service, and so they're willing to spend money on it and do it right. And they did, and it shows. I mean, and the guy that wrote it is Michael Chabon wrote it. That he did. He's a guy that wrote Wonder Boys and Cavalier and Clay. He's a award-winning author, great author. So they've got the plot and the quality writing and the cinematography and the effects. They've got the whole package. It's so good. And Patrick Stewart, come on. Who doesn't love him? He's a badass.
I'm definitely a fan, but I can't say, and I'm not a hater, but I never got into Star Trek. I remember watching the original, like just the original version, just the regular show.
Yeah.
On reruns, and I didn't dislike it. I was like, "Oh, cool space show! Look, aliens! Oh, they're teleporting. That's cool." But it never really pulled me in.
Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved it since I was a kid. I mean, my dad watched it, so I was never like a Star Wars versus Star Trek guy. I loved them both.
Yeah, I think
actually, I just bought this book. I just bought a signed version of the Foundation trilogy by Asimov. Which,
wow.
Speaking of Star Wars, this is basically the precursor to Star Wars. So that was something cool that I got recently.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Steve,
Yeah.
did you hear Elon Musk on Rogan talk about the computer chip that eventually he wants to put in people's heads, or have people opt to put in their brain, that is essentially... Well, he started off by talking about how these chips will help people with, brain damage or brain disorders. Like,
Hey, that's us.
There's Parkinson's and epilepsy and whatever else.
We're doing that deep brain stimulation now to help out with Parkinson's
Yes.
and some other neurological diseases. So, yeah.
So this is just like an evolution of that. And then he was talking about how this would probably evolve to, after they figured out how to help people with, malfunctions in their brain, then it would essentially evolve to be an enhancement to your brain.
Like Bionic Man.
Kind of like that. Well, he explained it to, like, he's like, everybody else, everybody is already part cyborg if you're taking into account their personal computing device that they have on them all times, their cell phone. They have access to unlimited information, the internet, their connectivity.
You have an aid, yeah.
You have this aid that everybody uses.
Yeah.
And this would be in your brain. The only thing I didn't understand, and I guess this is, I just don't understand neuroscience and how, is that he explained it like, all right, you already have this cell phone that has connections to the internet and all this information that you use, but you manually have to look up the information. It's slow. This would be, accelerated.
It's like solid state. It's like hardwired.
But I don't understand is, like, could your brain compute, like, work simultaneously with the computer?
Well, your brain's faster than most computers, right?
I think they make computers faster than your brain power.
That's like apples and oranges. It's hard to compare like that.
Yeah. Like, that's where I'm not smart enough to understand. Is like,
Isn't it Neil deGrasse Tyson that says there's more neurons in your brain than there are stars in the universe?
Yeah, your brain is super complicated and works like crazy fast. But what I don't understand is, like, how would your brain learn to work simultaneously with this computer chip? And then could you compute as much information as it's offering instantly?
All I know is, you see these anti-vaxxers and these people already saying they're not going to take a coronavirus vaccine. Imagine talking to those people and be like, here's a computer chip you put inside your brain.
Oh, yeah, well, those dodos, there's tons of people that won't want to do it.
Those will be the people left behind, right? Then there'll be some sort of tech, and there already is. There'll be a technology gap, and then there'll be those that have, gone along and the early adopters and understand it, and those will be your traditionalists like Tom, who was like, you ain't putting a chip in my brain.
Yeah.
My dad would say that. My dad wasn't Isaac Asimov. He was more, who's the guy that writes all the Westerns? Louis L'Amour,
And by the way, this is all kind of pointless to argue about, because we'll all be dead before this actually...
Maybe not. They said the point of singularity for computer power reaching the potential matching the human brain is like around 2041. That's not that far.
Yeah, no, I think we'll be alive to see that. I'm talking about where you start to integrate this, like, chip into people that they just buy it instead of, like, experiments. And, it just takes so long to get to that point. I assume we'll be aged out.
I can't see anything in my lifetime.
And then there's the downloading your consciousness into a computer to kind of live forever type scenario.
I don't think anybody wants me to do that.
That's the point of singularity. That's one of the ideas. That's what, that's the conspiracy about the tech billionaires, is that's what they want to do. Yeah.
And what I know, I talked to Crystal about this, and she's like, well, it's not going to be you. And then I'm like, but it will be, because the only thing that makes you is your brain and your memories and all the, so if you can download exactly the imprint of that.
You're in luck being an atheist. It's troubling for people that believe, like in a soul, like, then that's troubling, like, because you download your knowledge and your memories, but what happens to your soul,
Soul?
I've got soul. I mean, personally,
what the hell is that?
I've been told that I have soul, and I'm super bad.
I fell asleep last night, and they had one of those Time Life commercials on, which I didn't even know they had on anymore, but it was like one of the infomercials for the midnight special, and it had all these amazing soul acts on.
So good, dude.
Phenomenal. I wound up watching it after I woke up like at 3 a.m. for like a half hour.
So good when you go back and you revisit a lot of that old soul music, man. We've been playing Soul Town on Sirius XM, and it's just hit after hit after hit of stuff that you
Curtis
just...
Mayfield,
so good.
Teddy Pendergrass, Al Green.
And everything sampled. Everything sampled.
Chic. I mean, everybody.
What was the show Soul Train? Was the show basically, was there live music and then just people dancing?
Yeah. It was
it had Solid Gold and Soul Train. Those were the two, those are the and American Bandstand. Those were like the three shows, right?
So like American Bandstand would be like your, rock and roll. And then your Solid Gold would be like more your disco and dance, and then
Soul Train was more soul and R&B.
Yeah, soul and R&B, and like more Motown.
But what was the actual show? Was it just the live music?
Well, you'd have Don Cornelius, right? He'd come out, and then he was your host, and then you'd see like the dancers. You'd have different dancers would have almost like different personas. You'd have like roller skate girl, and you'd have big Afro guy, or you'd have like dude with the biggest collar, and they'd all kind of be dancing around, and they'd showcase the popular music of the time. You could dance along, watch them dance, and then they'd do the dance line, kind of showcase each other.
But the show was just dancing and then showing music.
And music. But our music being
Midnight
played.
Special apparently was like in the I guess early 70s or whatever. It was before my time. I think it only ran through like the 70s into the early 80s, so it was before my time. But man, the acts they had on there were just phenomenal. So I didn't even know Time Life did those commercials anymore. I guess I haven't watched like real TV in forever. I've been doing some with streaming.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
I want to buy it.
Well, do it. I mean, like those type of, it's hard to find now, and this is one of the, I'm showing, my old man is showing.
It's 11 DVDs or something.
One of the things that bothered me, I was, doing some cooking over the weekend. I always love to have music on while I'm cooking, so I'm cooking for the family. And I was like, you know what I want to listen to? I want to listen to the old Trojan Records box set. And Trojan Records was a Jamaican record company that did all the traditional reggae.
Yeah.
Back from the 50s and 60s and 70s, so all your...
Old ska and reggae.
Yeah, just so good. And it's hard, you used to be able to go and, you could, go get your box set and put the CDs in, or you had, the Led Zeppelin box set and put those in.
Yeah.
It's harder to find box sets through streaming services because everything wants to be, segmented, and everything's kind of like singles.
Yeah.
It's just it's there, it's just not organized right. We've had the same complaint or talked about with our BDM shows. It's it's all there.
We just need to reorganize it to an easier way for people to find.
Exactly. It's just not easy to navigate. I kind of miss the old box set. It's I want to listen to Alice in Chains. I'll go get the Alice in Chains box set. Oh, I want to listen to Trojan.
One good thing about having kept my vinyl through all the years, I just wish I'd bought more, vinyl over CDs in the 90s than I did. But still, I mean, that's never get rid of that stuff because that's where you have to go for the box sets,
It's funny because Tommy put a CD into something.
Oh, how did he know how to do it? He put it in the toaster? Or
he's like, all right, I've learned how this works. You put this thing in this. He had no idea what it was. And of course he didn't. It's old technology. It's like us looking at 8-tracks. I would never.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this shit?
I still kind of knew because of my dad's boat.
Yeah. But it's it was a direct representation of a human not understanding what this thing is that I obviously grew up with and knew. It blew my mind that he didn't know what it was. Of course he didn't. He didn't have no experience with it. But
that's hilarious.
That's I'm never getting rid of my CDs because how many times I've gone to a streaming service looking for a record and it's not on there. You know what I mean? Or the quality is crap, or, who knows what survives streaming in the long run. You saw the changes that Disney Plus made to The Simpsons and other shows, or Netflix made to Back to the Future and shows that they're streaming, and they're little, but they're big, and it starts there. So I'm never getting rid of my hard library of stuff because it always works.
That's what hoarders say. That's what hoarders say about newspapers.
I'm not like boxed into my house because of them. I mean, they fit in a couple of cases.
I got rid of all my CDs. I went through it. It took me, I want to say it took me like 4 weekends. But I remember doing it. It was at my old house in Deltona. And since then, I remembered one day I just got fed up and I was like, you know what? I'm converting everything to MP3s. So I sat down and I had
I did that.
I had like a gateway at the time, and I just sat there and I just burned, hundreds of CDs and just burn onto a hard drive, right? And from that point, I just would burn CDs in if I got one, and that was the great conversion.
Is the bit rate when I burn them, because I did it maybe in 2002. When did you do yours?
Probably about the same. Yeah, early 2000s.
The problem is the bit rate was crappy at the time, you know?
Yes.
I mean, compression wasn't as good as it is now.
Yeah, everything's better now. But what's funny about that is my wife kept a lot of her CDs that are like the NSYNC stuff and the collectible stuff that she likes. But we don't really have any CDs in the house. And it's odd.
No.
It's very odd to me because at one point, CDs took up so much space and so much time. And one of the reasons why I got rid of all my CDs is I was told by somebody that would be very difficult for these to maintain quality moving forward. Like, they will deteriorate. So,
really?
So how do you protect, just like vinyl, it's like you can save it, but, over years it will deteriorate. Everything does. So how do you protect a CD, or are they more protected? Was I told a lie or an old wives' tale?
I think if the sun is the enemy of all that stuff. Like UV light will take it out a lot quicker. Like dust jackets for records are good, and storing them in the dark or covered and away makes them last a lot longer. But I'm glad I kept some of my CDs because every now and then we'll go on a road trip, and I know when we go on a road trip, most of the time we have streaming, but you'll get into like back roads or areas where the signal drops out, and that's when I want to have my CD case. But what's cool is anytime I go on the trip, I'm reminded about either mixed CDs or mixtapes or whatever, or like compilations that you just can't find. Like they're just impossible to get. They don't carry them on the streaming service. It's kind of like box sets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like everything is there, but it's sometimes harder to find.
We're in a few compilations. I think my old band, I think there's only one compilation that we're on, and we were on probably a dozen that actually is on Spotify.
Right. Yeah, it is
the Jawbreaker one.
I could type in any song that exists, and it will play on my phone.
That's not true.
Every song that ever existed.
Well, every song that you might want to hear, but you're not a crate digger. Like you're not going and trying to find these rare songs or local music. Like how would you even find local music? Is what suffered. Because we've gone digital, is all the great local music that only press, let's say they only put out 5,000 CDs, a really good local band, you're not going to be able to find that now.
They upload it on the internet.
Not all of them, no.
There may be
a lot of bands that
0.001% of some local bands.
I still get people that ask me, oh, Daniel, you got that Nature Kid CD? Or how about Bughead? Or something, like something that was big in the late 90s, early 2000s. People ask me to gift it to them because some of that stuff's unfindable.
I'm sure that Bughead, one of the members, the guitarist, uploaded their CD onto the internet, and some aspect,
but not everything.
Everything's on the internet.
It's not.
If someone throw out any song, I'll search Google and it'll come up on the internet. Anyway, you guys are hoarding garbage.
I'll take that challenge.
Record CDs, garbage. You're no different than the cat lady that poops in the toilet.
I always thought it'd be cool. I played in all those, bands through high school and college. All those bands that, we put out a tape or we put out a CD, and it maybe made it to some small indie label or whatever. But you would never find a lot of those. You just wouldn't. And if you lost your physical media, it's gone. And I always thought it would be cool because there were all these great bands out there that maybe each had one good song maybe. And I always thought it'd be cool to put together a compilation of them or cover them or whatever. I always thought that would be a cool idea.
One of the things that I also miss, not to sound like three old men reminiscing, but do you guys remember the old VHS funny clip compilation tapes that some of your friends would make or you would make?
Oh, yeah. I still have some of those stored somewhere.
I wish I did, too. I had one that some guy had put, all these twisted... this is way before the internet, was the internet was a thing, but it wasn't really distributing like video is like right now, the internet is video, right? But there was a time when the internet was pictures and email and you could go to websites, but video just wasn't, you're not going to get long form video, right? So you'd have these like VHS tapes of like twisted, fucked up cartoons. The original, and it's on YouTube now, but before YouTube, I had a VHS of the farting preacher. The preacher that would he'd say like, we're gonna praise God right now. Just close your eyes. And then somebody had put farts every time that he closed his eyes and prayed. I had the original that some guy had gone in and on like actual analog, stuff, like real equipment, real tape had gone in and put farts.
I could find a farting preacher on the internet.
No, I know you can. Now that would you have to, you motherfucker.
Everything you have on VHS, I could find on the internet.
But a lot of it wasn't labeled, so a lot of these things they might be. Like I said,
I used to love that show, Syphil and Ollie. That was that's hard to find.
Yeah, like my point is it is all there, but it's very hard to find.
I can search.
There are things you can't find
on Google.
But you're right. Most things are available.
All right. What do you want to talk about today, Kramer?
Wait, why now?
Well, I don't know. I ran out.
Well, we're almost to the end of the show.
I saw something that was kind of interesting. I saw this article about Nick Cage. So I don't know if you guys ever saw that documentary about the Superman movie that Tim Burton was going to do. Did you guys ever see that?
No, I need to go and check that documentary out.
And then Nick Cage was going to be Superman, right?
Yes. He was going to be Superman. So he's got this relationship with Superman, and he was almost Superman. I mean, they spent $3 million on pre-production, and they got to the point. I mean, that's him in a Superman outfit. They got to the point where they were doing screen tests and stuff to do the movie, and then it petered out because I think Batman or some movie flopped or whatever. But I was reading this article. It was crazy. He bought an Action Comics #1 which is the first Superman comic, and it got stolen from his house, and he paid a fortune for it. He paid $150,000 was the reportedly that he paid for it, but it got stolen from his house, and then somehow years later, like over a decade later, he recovered this comic. And it was this journey they had to go on where they were tracking it down because there's not that many Action Comic #1 out there anyway. And this one is graded like a 9.0, which, there's grading for comics or whatever. And that's a very high rating.
Yeah.
But he ultimately got it back. And then this is what caught me is he wound up selling it later. And do you know what it sold for when he sold it? He bought it for $150,000. What do you think it sold for?
Shit. I have no clue about comics and their worth or what they're...
I'm going to say $500,000.
I'll go doubled in price, $300,000.
All right. So the thing got stolen in 2000. It got recovered in 2011. And then a year ago or so, he sold it. And he bought it for $150,000. It sold for $2.16 million.
God damn.
Oh, wow.
That's a hell of a profit. That's what got me. I was like, holy crap.
Wow. On a comic that arguably could have been destroyed in the journey of it being stolen and then recovered.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a good investment.
Then he gave it all to the IRS.
Yeah.
And then he sang.
That guy is an example of why you have good attorneys and good accountants.
Yeah. Then he sang "Purple Rain" drunk at a karaoke bar.
Also, good mental illness medication because he's obviously off.
Well, he might be back on now.
Well, it could also be he's known to partake of substances, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I think he does have an alcohol problem. I think that's probably documented.
He got married earlier this year. He got married to somebody when he was completely drunk and wound up getting the marriage annulled almost immediately afterwards.
Yeah, that sounds fun though. Britney Spears did that, and I love me some Britney.
He married Elvis's daughter. That was a weirdo thing, and then
that makes sense because that's another thing he's got. Is that his obsession with Elvis? There's a David Lynch movie called Wild at Heart that's with him and with what's her face. Bruce, I forget her name. Anyway, they're in it together.
Bruce Valanche.
What's that?
Bruce Valanche.
No, it's Dern, Laura Dern.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking Bruce Dern. He's in it with Laura Dern, and there's like a scene where they're like at a death metal concert, and in the middle of the show, it like the music stops, and he starts singing an Elvis song to Laura Dern's character. So he's got the whole Elvis thing. He had the honeymoon in Vegas where he was one of the flying Elvises. Like there's an Elvis thing there, and that had to like play a role in him marrying Lisa Marie Presley.
How do you
right?
set aside, if you're marrying Lisa Marie Presley, how do you set aside that she was once married to Michael Jackson in your brain?
Well, maybe, who knows, maybe it was a bonus for him. He's like, I'm marrying Elvis's daughter and Michael Jackson's ex-wife.
Yeah, and he didn't touch her because she's not a little boy.
There it goes.
Got it. Travis laughed. If I hear Travis' tiny laughter in the office, I know I got one. Or at least the people that associate with Travis.
That was one of my favorite jokes with my wife and my daughter that I'm not very proud of, but when everybody first started wearing masks during COVID, I would walk out of my house to walk down the street to Publix and point at someone with a mask and go, Michael Jackson, run! I'm kidding. I would tell my daughter, run for what? You're all right. I think you're okay. Just stay close to me. We'll feel it out.
Don't ever cut your hair short.
No flat tops for you.
So,
I picked up some weird stuff during quarantine. I bought a tuxedo T-shirt. I should have worn that today.
Why'd you buy that?
I don't know. I got an urge. I didn't have one. I mean, should not everybody have a tuxedo T-shirt?
We were actually talking about designing one in the office with Samantha yesterday.
There you go. See, I'm on to something.
Yeah, I like the tuxedo T-shirt.
I actually have a tuxedo
I know
shirt.
you have one.
And I've worn it twice.
Listen, I'll make a deal. What if next show we all agree that we wear tuxedo T-shirts? And you can't do the thing where you say it, and then I'm the only jackass that shows up wearing a tuxedo T-shirt.
Only if you let me give you a $1,000 duck job. That's my only condition.
But
unconditional surrender, U.S. Grant.
Going back,
anybody watch that? Anybody watch the Grant documentary?
No.
It's a three-part History Channel Grant documentary. It's fucking amazing. Please.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fascinating character. I mean, the guy was a war hero.
Yeah, I didn't know his dad was an abolitionist. I didn't know that he didn't have as much trouble with the bottle as everybody said. He just danced with it once, and it stuck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He died. I mean, he almost died penniless. They put a retirement into place just for him, I think.
But it's an amazing documentary. It's 3 parts. It's really long, but my wife and I, we buckled down. We watched every bit of it, and it is really good.
Let me ask you about something. You mentioned obsession and like
the perfume.
Nicolas Cage being obsessed with Elvis and stuff, and obsession is
like I'm obsessed with bourbon right now.
Part of a mental illness. I mean, we've categorized OCD, and there's a spectrum of it. There's people with a little bit of it, and
OCD is obsessive compulsive, right?
Yeah, there's people that are crippled by it.
I have a bit of it.
So there's a spectrum of it, of course.
I'm diagnosed.
And then there's people that become obsessed with some unhealthy things, and then it leads to addiction, maybe.
There's people like Matt Mormon that are, obsessed, and they turn it into an empire and are massively successful.
Yes, and then there's people obsessed with working out, and there's people obsessed with making money, and you've seen these people throughout our lives, and if you're obsessed with something that society deems positive, then you're ultra successful, but there is an obsession involved, and if you dive deeper into a lot of these people's lives, you realize like, oh, this person's the best at this sport or the best at making money in this industry or whatever.
Yeah, if you're obsessed with masturbation, apparently you're a ding dong.
And but when you then investigate further into their lives, although they may be happy and this is what they want to do, they are obsessed with it, and maybe in an unhealthy manner to the point where it's all they do and they're not able to do or enjoy anything else. Now, they would probably tell you, I enjoy doing this, so this is what I'm like. But if you look at their lives, you're like, well, all you do is that and you do nothing else.
Yeah, but who are you to tell me?
But then it's subjective.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if that's what they want, but
I see it a lot with news. There are people that are just obsessed with the news. Well, there's
that idea. There's that Carl Jung idea, and it's actually Joseph Campbell too. Is that the human mind is wired to search for something to believe in. The human mind is wired to search for something greater than itself. That's part of the way that we deal with the existential crisis of that we're going to end at some point, is that we have that hardwiring. So there's that Carl Jung idea that whatever the highest idea that you serve is your God. And for that obsession, that's kind of almost a representation of that idea, right? I mean, it's people that but that's different than mental illness. I mean, the OCD out of control can be crippling for people. That's a lot different than being focused and focused and driven into one particular area or another.
No,
right?
I'm not talking about the focus and drive of people that are determined but I'm talking about the obsession of something to the point where, like, for instance, I've met many people that are super successful and they're obsessed with the business that they're in to the point where it's all they do, all they think about, and they've gotten to a certain level that's of tremendous success. But then when you look at it, you realize, like, this person's still as obsessed as they were when they had nothing, and then they'll never be satisfied. They'll always be obsessed with more and more. And then I'm like, that seems like you're doing yourself a disservice, although that's what they want to do.
Balance in your life, like you have more than one role. I mean, I mean, we all have different roles in our life: husband, father, friend, best friend, brother, nephew, son. You have all these different roles, and if you become so obsessed that you neglect every other role in your life, I don't think that's a path to happiness.
Yeah. Although, if you ask them, that's what they want.
Rather than happiness, fulfillment and meaning.
I think obsession, though, can come in things that you don't enjoy or you seemingly don't enjoy as well. Because you and I both know people that seemingly, from the outside, let's say, seem to be obsessed with their own failure. And what I mean by that is that they enjoy the failure and the pity party that comes along with it.
There's negative obsessions, obviously.
But those are the ones that are scary to me, because it's like you can't see that you actually might feel more comfortable in a place of worry or in a place of uncertainty than you would be if you were actually succeeding.
You're obsessed with being scared.
Yeah, that's scarier to you.
Yeah.
That's the one that really gets me.
You're your own worst enemy. You're self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
You want to be scared. You're obsessed with the feeling of being
it's more
scared.
comfortable to you because maybe that, I don't know, there's some sort of sick comfort you get from being in that.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you're sick. It's just like I wish that you would get some assistance and maybe.
I mean, that's one form of dysfunctional, like, failure is being kind of preoccupied with that. The other one is the people that don't acknowledge their failings and maybe have given up. I've got friends like that. They've had a series of failures and they've given up on trying. Like, they don't even want to try for it. They don't even want to get up to the plate to take a swing because they're too scared of striking out. And I've got friends like that are almost in denial about that. They're almost like in that Peter Pan state where they've made a man-child life for themselves because they'd rather not experience more failures. And in doing that, the irony is it's the ultimate failure.
Right.
I think also, too, we should be more transparent with what it takes to get to a level that we all are envious of. For instance, we see, like, the best of the best all the time in society, regardless of what it is and what industry it is.
Yeah.
Like, there's the best person at that, or at least a group of the best people.
Okay.
And we often, when we talk to those people, they are usually humble because of the success they've received, and they are not.
Or because they put on a front that they're humble.
Yes, yeah. So because humbleness is a attribute.
That overly graciousness.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's an attribute that we all like as society. We like for our ultra successful to be humble and not to be braggadocious because for whatever reason, I don't know. It's like
I also love it when people are like when people are cocky. I mean, people sometimes like it that they like that version of Matthew McConaughey. I mean,
yes.
They like that. Elon Musk is not humble.
He's very matter of fact. Although he's on the spectrum, so we all like, oh, leave him alone.
Yeah, you almost give him a pass because of just a weird factor.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that they don't really lay out to all of us what they had to do and what goes on in their mind at all times to get to that level. And I think if more of us saw that and saw the reality behind that, we'd be like, whoa, I'm not doing that, bro. Like that is too much.
It doesn't always require single-minded obsession. I mean, you have successful people that have some balance in their life. That is not what I took away from the Michael Jordan documentary, by the way.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
I mean, I thought that was. He was obsessed. He was focused. He was willing. He wanted to do whatever he needed to do and push people as hard they needed to be pushed and alienate as many people as he needed to alienate and be as single-minded as he needed to be. And I don't know. Obviously, I respect and admire his successes, but I mean, there's a lot of collateral damage in that, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say.
That could be for anybody. If you watch a documentary about Mr. Rogers, you see the same thing within his own family about how obsessed he was at actually providing
helping people.
Yeah, good content for children of America and other nations. I mean, you got a guy that was obsessed with that whose own family suffered because he was helping your family. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's kind of a representation of how things are segmented and how that it can be a benefit in a particular segment in achieving success is that single-minded focus. And so you can be very successful in that particular channel, but lacking in your balance and the rest of your life. Is what we're saying, right?
Yeah. Well,
sure.
That's the thing is the balance. And now here's the thing: not everybody wants the balance of a family life or a counterpart or something.
They don't necessarily need that.
A partner.
Well, it's not necessarily that their family life is unbalanced. It's also that they don't have anything else other than this single-minded focus. They don't have any balance in their life, and that's more detrimental. Obviously, everybody's have to have a family, but some of the people that you see driven in business or by money or whatever, they don't have anything else that adds another dimension to their character or anything that gives them substance. I mean, right?
Yeah, I heard a gambling podcast talk about Tom Brady, and obviously he's the best quarterback of all time. There's arguments about it, but the stats just show it.
Argue about it.
And
I agree with it.
So he was talking about how Tom Brady mentioned that he was making this move to Tampa Bay because he wanted to spend more time with his family, that kind of thing. But he also was talking about how there was some investigation, and he found out that Tom Brady applied to be in a golf course membership to a golf course that's 4 hours away from his house, I think on the East Coast, like a prestigious golf course there. And then he was mentioning, out of one side of his mouth, he's like, I need to spend more time with my family. And then you want to spend more time with family, but you got a membership to a golf course 4 hours from your house.
Yeah.
That's a day trip. What I'm saying? How much more time? I mean, there's plenty of beautiful golf courses near Tampa. So it's, and then of course,
that's an overnight trip.
Yeah, but this guy, he's been obsessed with being the best for so long. All of a sudden, you're just going to
lose that.
You're going to flip the switch and be like, you know what? I'm going to be like a Tom Van play monster with my son's everyday dad. That's what I like. I don't think that's what Tom Brady likes. Tom Brady likes being the best quarterback there's ever been.
Also, I don't think he's ever done that because if you're connecting the dots, I think the kids. It's not like he entered the NFL having kids.
Yeah. It's something that he had. Not that he doesn't love his kids or want to spend time with it. It just
has nothing to do with it.
You're not going to all of a sudden change who you are and how you become the best and do something different all of a sudden.
Yeah, that will only changes when you leave the game.
Yeah.
this is a good argument for why, money, people misconstrue money as the indicator of success. And there's a lot more dimensions to it. And you're better off. Yeah, I think most people are more satisfied and have a more meaningful life when they have a more balanced life and find meaning in the multiple facets of their life, in their multiple roles in their relationships. And, maybe the argument is better to be you can be a Da Vinci, you can be a Renaissance man and still be so successful and achieve so much. I mean, think about Da Vinci is a great argument, or Jefferson or Franklin. I mean, all those guys achieved so much in so many different facets of their life in different ways.
You want to do a couple of voicemails before we get out of here? Because I don't want to run out of time, but eventually we will. Unless, Tom, you got something you need to...
Well, I was going to ask Kramer, did you see the documentary? Because I think you'd really like it. About God, he's a hedge fund guy. I'm just looking at
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
Jordan Belfort.
The Warren Buffett documentary. I think it's called Becoming Warren Buffett. It's great.
I'll watch it. I know I'm fascinated by the guy. I mean, he eats like a 1950s guy, and I know he lives in the same modest home that he has had forever, and he's a family man, and seems like he's got a lot of things together.
You should watch it because it's interesting and it shows you who he is, and then you have a better understanding of you've heard all these stories about Warren Buffett giving away his fortune, and then there's the stories about his he's not leaving his fortune to his kids, which, by the way, his kids are on there and they don't want his fortune. They're all philanthropists.
If he gives away 90% of it, they're doing okay. All right.
And it's not even about that. It's like they have everything they want, but it's pretty interesting. And tell me if you think he's on the spectrum of some sort, because I just think he's a math genius. That you could
be a genius and not be on the spectrum, just for the record.
I know, but it seems like it is just based on him not understanding the general emotion or human emotion or how people behave because of emotion. It just doesn't compute to him.
Not his thing.
Yeah, he understands math more than humans, and that's how he's made his money. But he comes off as a likable guy.
Yeah.
That just is as rational as fuck.
Was there anything bad at all in the film that you saw that you were like, ooh, that's not a good trait?
He probably was involved with the making of it, which a lot of, and Kramer, you'll attest to this.
You can't trust any documentary where the subject is involved in making it.
Yeah, where
don't watch ours.
A lot of these guys, they are involved with their own documentaries.
Oh yeah, they're trying to spin their legacy.
Yes.
But it's like Ken Burns. Ken Burns said, "I'm not going to watch The Last Dance because Michael Jordan his production company was involved in doing it, and therefore Ken Burns said it's not a legitimate documentary."
Yeah. Well, it goes all history.
I still watch it, but I take it with a grain of salt.
All history is skewed. Every history book,
of course, it is,
was written by one side. It's like the history was written by the winners.
There's different degrees of being skewed. I mean, having been at my focus of study in school, you can go to primary sources that are a lot less skewed. Let's just say.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
100%.
That are recorded contemporaneously with the period.
Yeah, and no matter what you're writing about, or if you're writing about current day history, good luck in the future trying to decipher what the fuck happened in 2020. Because what are you reading from who?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of different opinions about what's going on, and it seemed like that's what's causing so many problems.
Frankly, that's the benefit of people. I think people can learn the most about humanity by studying ancient history, because it is less skewed and can't be subject to the biases. It doesn't fit into left or right or liberal or conservative, Democrat, Republican, or it can't be politicized. It's ancient history, and it operates outside of our modern biases, and you can learn a lot about humanity and people through studying ancient history. I mean, and there's some good sources from the time. I mean,
It's true, but even like our own history of America, like if you read the People's History or whatever else, like
I got pretty far in it. That's a hard read, man.
Oh, I read. My project was I read a couple years back. I read the Howard Zinn A People's History and A Patriot's History. One left, one right. I read them at the exact same time, and I would read one chapter, one and the other, and the chapter of the other, just to compare. What they covered, what they didn't, and their own skew and take on it.
Do they hold the same amount of time, like chapter to chapter?
Yeah, I mean, it was different in maybe the length that they might cover things. I mean, maybe both of them covered the Maine, but maybe Zinn took a different tack on the Maine and the Spanish-American War, etc. But I found it helpful because somewhere in the middle was the truth.
Right.
Yeah. And that's usually how it works.
But
But American history is too new. I mean, any history in the modern era is too new. You really got to go to Babylonia and Assyria, and and Rome and Greece to find, and Egypt to find history that can't be skewed by the way that we view the world today.
Well, speaking of that, I have a history question from one of our listeners. Here is a voicemail.
Hi, Tom and Dan and Mr. Stephen Kramer. You guys were talking about toilets the other day. You were talking about all the things you could flush down a toilet, which brought back an old memory of mine in which my wife was at work and I was at home and I was eating a banana and I had the urge to go to the restroom, so I just took my banana with me. And at that point I wondered, how many banana peels would it take to clog my toilet? So I posted it on the Facebooks, and although she was at work, she must have had a dumbass alert because my wife instantly responded, "Do I need to come home?" Well, now, thanks to you guys, I know that the limit for bananas is 2. And so if I ever have that urge again, I know keep my banana flushing to a minimum.
Two full bananas?
So
two banana peels.
I figured we'd end with some general knowledge. I'd like to give a gift to the listeners before we get out of here. So it is 2 in the standard American standard toilet, the regular old sit-down toilet.
In the peel? Or out of the peel? In
the peel.
Okay.
2 bananas in the peel. That's as many as you can get.
Because I feel like out of the peel, a toilet could do like 8 bananas.
Well, they're slippier.
Well, it's mushy.
All I want to know is Andre the Giant, I mean, come on. He had to have been dropping more than that. How did that work out?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's
he had a special toilet, right?
If you watch the Andre the Giant documentary, like
I did.
He did what like he went to a hotel, he couldn't even fit in the bathroom, so he had to poop on the bed sheets on the floor, and then the housekeeper had to come up.
That poor woman or man. More than likely at that time a woman, but oh my God!
I forgot why. Was it? Was it a cruise?
I feel like you could go in the tub if you needed to, right?
No, you couldn't even fit in the goddamn bathroom. Like it was too small.
Well, at least try to get it on the tile, right? Not the sheets.
I think there was something. He pooped on something that he just put on the floor, and then they had to come and just take it away.
I'm glad. See, that's when being small is better.
Yeah.
Everybody says, "Oh, don't you wish you were tall? Don't you wish you were tall?" Like, I wish I was a giant. You don't. You don't. Because in that situation, I can poop anywhere. I can poop in a side table drawer with a Bible in it. I can go anywhere. Anywhere you need me to go. I'm tiny enough to do it. But Andre, I'm not going to have it.
Yeah. You want to get that middle range. That's the sweet spot.
Well, that is the sweet spot.
Bernie's got that thing. I mean, like where the ceiling.
Our accountant does not shit on bed sheets. I cannot believe you said that.
I'm going to tell him.
I'm going to email Bernie. Hold on, I got to email Bernie. Your son-in-law says that you shit on bed sheets because you're a giant with a big old ding dong.
Thick
dong, big. My God, what is that? Is that a? Excuse me, do you have a roll of 1980s Winn-Dixie hamburger meat in your pants? My God, sir. We're not going to a cookout.
That is an SM-58 mic.
Holy moly. Is that a 3-liter of Bubba Cola you have in your pants, sir?
Oh, with a grapefruit on top.
My God, what's that on the top?
It's a mushroom grapefruit.
Right back where we started.
It's a grapefruit with a tiny soldier hat.
Yeah, take its hat off. You're inside. Oh, put the hat back on.
Oh,
I see
thick.
it. Yeah. My God. Your balls are huge. Smooth.
The pee hole is the size of a small vagina.
My God.
Oh, this time I got scream one. We have to stop now.
We have to stop now. We said small vagina. We're gone.
Yeah. You can't be involved in this, Kramer.
Before this, I'll put a disclaimer.
I'm not involved in this. I'm just watching.
Before this show and video, I'm going to put the disclaimer that they put in front of all the pornos that are done by blacks. They're like, if you have a dick hole that's as big as a tiny vagina, email us at tomandan.com. There's a market for it. Email us at grapefruitvagina@tomandan.com.
No.
So Kramer,
you been chopping any birds lately?
Yeah.
No.
What you been chopping? Will you get a sword out and chop something? A cue ball? Chop your ping pong ball?
Chop your sweater into a crop top.
I want you to chop something.
That's the last month. This month I just got this.
What do you got?
This nice Evan Williams single barrel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, look at that.
We still got that Pappy. Do you want to buy that, by the way?
Yeah.
Things have gone tough.
Yeah.
Sure, but that's not the real Pappy, just so you know.
What do you mean?
You got to tell AT&T to get you the real Pappy, the 23 or one of the better ones.
Hold on, we got the real
good Pappy.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Where's your Pappy?
Yeah, we got
Pappy.
Travis, look at the bottle of Pappy.
We don't have the crappy Pappy. You got the crappy Pappy. We got the.
We got the crappy Pappy.
We got the good Pappy.
Yeah, hold on. Look at this. There's Pappy 12.
Yeah, we got a Pappy 12.
It's a 12-year Pappy right here.
Yeah, where's your Pappy?
That's the Van Winkle. That's not the Pappy.
What's the difference?
This is what the Pappy looks like.
Oh,
that's the Pappy.
He's got the Pappy. Oh, no, it's just a picture of the Pappy.
I don't have it.
We're going to get it.
Pappy. It says Pappy Van Winkle. You got I think it's the old Van Winkle.
Oh, my God. We got the Winkle and not the Pappy?
We got the Van Winkle Reserve.
The Van Winkle Special Reserve. It's one above the old Rip Van Winkle, but...
Old Rip Van Winkle?
Hold on. It says bottled by Old Rip Van Winkle. What is this?
I think that's on. I think that's a fairy tale juice.
What is it, for babies?
I wish you jumped in and it broke. I would cry shit laughing. Pour the Pappy on my duck job. I'm giving you $1,000 duck job. Pour the Pappy in my throat.
ABC's like, we heard that? No more.
Knock it off over there. We saw you giving Steve Jobs a duck job and pouring Pappy in your eyes. COVID's made me crazy. Everything's crazy. All right,
Tom, does it say Pappy anywhere in the bottle?
No Pappy.
No, it doesn't.
It just says Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, Van Winkle.
That's right, it's Van Winkle.
It's a 12-year-old Lot B.
Lot D. I got a Lot D in these pants.
It's in the Pappy family, but it's not Pappy.
So
the next time you talk to us in 1 month, we will have
full Pappy.
I believe it.
Trust me.
We'll call ABC.
And like, ABC, is this it, Mr. C? First name's Abe.
Is this ABC?
Is this Abe C? Abe, listen up. It's Tom and Dan. What's up, Abe? We need to go. I thought we'd never come to this, but our attorney's really twisting my grapes. He's stomping them good, so let's go full Pappy. What? Full Pappy? We can't we'll do it. Abe, let's do it. Full Pappy. Steve got a tiny little laugh. Tiny little. He's trying to be serious. He's trying to be a serious, smart lawyer.
They go.
Tiny little laugh.
Just in fairness, I can't take credit for that. It was Sam that told me that's not Pappy Van Winkle. He's the whiskey bourbon connoisseur. We can get him on sometime to interview him on bourbon because he knows more about bourbon or whiskey than anybody I know.
And then we can bring in two Sams too, because our Sam, I think it's something very attractive about ladies who like the whiskey.
Steve,
I think that's cool.
Do you want to go in with me? I got the line. The Grizz's brother.
Let me put this on the camera.
We're going to talk to him today. The Grizz's brother's got the line on this 1970s fire truck.
We're going to buy that.
It's in Naples now. It's fully functional, and the ladder works 100 foot tall.
Yeah, we got an idea.
And
that's amazing.
And so, are you in?
Because we have an idea.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
All right, I got one interested. I'll mark you down.
Let's just say buy the URL On Fire Boner Brigade. Because Tom and Dan are going to head out with their team of the Boner Brigade. I can't even say that, Boner Brigade. And we're going to we're bringing the party.
Yeah. It's
mobile
the whole thing.
We're doing mobile DJ in the back.
We
right?
gotta wrap it, and we got the
mobile DJ system, tent, working hose, working lights and siren.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We have some bikini girls. We use the fire hose
to blast their bottoms off.
Yeah. And then we raise the boner ladder.
Yeah.
And then
get away with it in this modern era.
Oh yeah. They want it now.
Yeah. Haven't you seen the world? It's crazy out there.
Yeah. They need the Boner Brigade.
Yeah. I mean, everybody needs a little. Everybody's like, what's that? The Boner Brigade. This isn't so bad.
By the way, I will take that bottle of Van Winkle anytime you want.
Well, I'm going to sell it to you.
Okay, done.
Well, what do you?
What do you
think?
What do you want? How much?
I don't know.
Well, this is signed by Tom and Dan.
Yeah.
And Abe C.
What do we have? $800?
Oh, I was going to go $1,200.
Oh, $1,200.
Love the market.
All right, Steve.
We got to get out of here, buddy.
Mess around too much.
Yeah, fun talking with you, man. Tell the family hey and give them some love from us, man. And one firm for life. Wait, it's one bird for life. Chopcom. There we go.
Someone got very mad that Daniel's.
I kept saying .chop or chop bird, and people were like, "Get it right! It's one bird for life. Chopcom."
We got lots of emails.
Lots of emails. All right.
So, all right, Steve. We'll talk to you next month.
Let me text me about the fire truck.
I will.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I got a meeting on the air today. We're talking to the Grizz's brother.
Yeah. We're talking to Little Grizz later today, and we'll have an answer for you this afternoon.
I'm sure we'll get lots of emails and voicemails about whether that is a bottle of Pappy or not. So that'll give us something to talk about next time.
All right.
And I'm willing to accept that I could be wrong, but I'm relying on good advice, and we'll see.
I think you're probably right. There's variations, but it's definitely not a bad bottle of whiskey, but maybe
No.
Not
that is a phenomenal, amazing bottle of whiskey right there.
I mean, not full Pappy.
We might have to just.
That is a dream bottle of.
Now that it's not full Pappy, I say we drink it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pour it over some Coca-Cola. That's what you do with good whiskey. That's what I heard.
I'm gonna put in my Mountain Dew.
That's sacrilege.
Yeah. We'll talk to you later, man. We love you. Be good.
You too.
All right, man.
All right,
later.
Yeah.
That is Stephen Kramer live from the Kramer Lair.
Yeah, I like the Skype because I feel like we can get crazier.
Well, he can't look at us and threaten to storm out of here. What are you going to do, storm out of your own house?
Yeah, because when we get crazy, I just look at you, and then Kramer's up there, and I know he's like, oh.
I'm always good for one. I don't know if you go back and you listen to all the Gentleman's Guides from here to the history of time, there's always me saying I'm going to give Steve a blowjob in every show. I hide it in there.
Yeah.
I hide it in there.
That's an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Go look.
I mean, it's not a good Easter egg. It doesn't provide you with anything other than you wondering whether or not I'm gay. And I'm not. I just don't care.
Yeah. You'll give anybody a blowjob.
Yeah, it's not. It's like a handshake to me.
Yeah.
And those are done. So I mean, I figure this is with COVID.
Yeah.
Put a mask on it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Just don't. Get the number 4 in there.
No. But we should do a contest to see whose dick hole's the biggest.
Oh, yeah. I bet one of our listeners has like a big mambo.
Huge cave of a dickhole.
Yeah. Because they probably vary in size, and some of them are probably...
Do you think you have a big dickhole or a small dickhole? Who's got the biggest dickhole on the show? I know.
Travis.
Yeah.
Although
giant caveman dickhole.
You're Tuna Can Dan, so it seems like,
Trust me,
the wider it is, the wider
narrow.
the hole.
I got a narrow dickhole.
Okay. Yeah. Travis got a Neanderthal.
Yeah, it's
you
huge.
Could put a pinky in there.
Yeah, well, it's open all the time. His dick is like a mouth breather. Hey, hi, man. I'm a. His dick is a mouth breathing racist.
Yeah,
He's like, hey, man.
the first inch of it is all dried.
Yeah. He's got to wet it.
Yeah, with the eyedropper.
Yeah, it's like an old piece of meat that has freezer burn on it. You cut that part off. It's okay.
I don't know why some days are crazier than others. I don't understand it.
Hey, spice of life. Hey.
All right, we'll see you.
Yeah.